I could serve you communion. I'm an elder, yeah.
At least it wasn't like a couple years ago, so you didn't have to pull your roundabout way of getting back in the car.
Yeah, that's true.
I called
Yeah. Scott, if you ever get a chance to go to the ordination or get all these guys together. Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, that was there. The 100th anniversary service a couple weeks ago was very much like that, which is an entire church full of voices.
How many pastors do they have?
Most of the district.
Like, where's the man? Oh, he's playing with Scott.
But he gets ordained July 21st, that's Sunday. Well, it could be Marcus. His drive time is 63 minutes from our front door. 63 minutes from our front door.
Yeah, we're gonna do with this place.
Do one at 8 o'clock. One at 8 o'clock. The last one is back in where he's going to live in Marcus, and that's at 12:30. So I hope that's what they do for their church structure, governance.
Yeah, well, I know Paul's wife is in the restroom or something. Once she gets done, we'll get everything started.
Hey, where'd our banners go?
Don't know. Okay, if everyone go ahead and sit down so we can get started. No, it's got to give people a chance to get up and kind of reset. Okay, well, hopefully we can get some of these people back who I know we're streaming service. And we'll go ahead and get this kicked off. Just give me a second, okay? Yes, I will. I've got this up here, so I'll monitor if any questions come across on the stream. I don't know if they will or not, but we got the microphone here, so we can take questions once I get through. Let's go ahead and let me get through everything first before we start going with questions. So as everyone is aware, at the end of this year, Pastor McMullen is retiring from full-time ministry here at Emmanuel. Does not mean he's going anywhere or leaving. It's just a new phase. A couple weeks ago, I had a meeting with Pastor Simpson, who is the pastor at Good Shepherd, who is our circuit visitor. And just to kind of refamiliarize myself with the call process, I've been through it before, and kind of get an idea of, okay, what can we do kind of beforehand, get ready for this, you know, what's our steps, and he was actually very grateful because he said most congregations, even, we're 6 months out now, 7 months out from having this next change in our congregation. He said most of them don't even think about this till day of. Basically, it'd be one of those, like you said, a lot of congregations will end up coming to him on January 1st saying, okay, we need a pastor. It's like, well, it's not that simple. Talked to him and got some steps about what are we supposed to do, what are our next steps, and what can we do and what can we not do. First of all, and I was hoping to have this, one of the things that will be asked of the entire congregation is we will be performing what's called a self-study. So that is a list of questions that we'll be asking ourselves to kind of evaluate where we are as a congregation, what are our strengths and weaknesses, just kind of an overall assessment of where Emmanuel Lutheran sits today. And that information is kind of a way to reflect on where we are, but it helps district and synod kind of get a feel for things as well and get an understanding of where the congregation is. So we need to do that. The other thing we can do now as well is we need to get together a call committee. Those of you who have been through this before know what that is. This will be a group of individuals that have volunteered from the congregation to spearhead the work towards being led to our next pastor at Emmanuel. Looking through things, talking with Pastor Simpson, probably would be a group of people no more than 10. Once you start getting beyond that, you start getting too many people involved, and it can be, you don't have as fruitful, and discussions get kind of too much and over-involved. So my thoughts is we'll keep it at 10. Right now, I would not, my personal thoughts on this is, while we will have members from the Emmanuel's Church Council, it would not be the entire council that would be on it. This is one of those things that I would like to have not only, leadership of the church, but also the just laity of the church as well, and the other members that, aren't on the council per se, but this is everybody's decision. This isn't just a council decision. I've been involved in other congregations where it was, and it's not that it's wrong, but it's handled just by specific groups in the congregation, and people kind of feel left out on some of that maybe their voice isn't being heard. And so I'd like to avoid that here if possible. But that's my opinion. We can discuss that. So one of the things that Pastor Simpson said that we can start doing now is on our own, we could start compiling candidates ourselves. Well, if you are not aware, we as a congregation are allowed to submit to district and to synod a list of candidates that we would like. People that we know, other pastors, others that we have heard of, and what we would do is that list that would go through the congregation and the call committee would basically be presented to Pastor President Narrance on January 1st when we turn things in, and as names that we would like to be considered as well for the call, and then Pastor Narrance would add names as well, and those would be submitted and start going through the process of people that we would like to potentially call and see if their next step is to come to Emmanuel. We can start doing that immediately. Now, this doesn't mean we go interview people. This doesn't mean we start calling people one-on-one, but kind of start looking and seeing if there's people that we know, because one thing you want to consider is what is the status of the congregation that they are at. It's kind of getting an idea of, okay, if you say there's a pastor out there that you'd like to consider the call here to Emmanuel, but if they're in the midst of a giant building project that's going to go, is starting next year or going into next year, that's something you want to find out, and maybe that's something that you would consider not asking them because it's really not appropriate for them to leave at that time. Things kind of like that. Kind of doing some scouting to kind of see, would someone be in a position to even consider a call. So that's one of those things. And also, it's one of those things that, if you want to go visit a church or go see them, that's on you. What I don't know about, I don't know about. But it's, because at the end of the day, what this comes down to is, and it's truly interesting how, while this does kind of end up being somewhat of an interview process, at the end of the day, it really kind of isn't. It's interesting how, when everything does all play out, you do truly get led to a person. And so, but it doesn't mean you can't find out about them, find out their situation, go, find out, how they are as a pastor, personality, things like that. But it's one of those things that we can start getting things together as far as people who we might be interested in as a congregation taking a look at. So there's that. So as far as, I'm sure all of you are kind of wondering what our options might be. Obviously, what we've done, Pastor McMullen was called from an existing congregation. He was an existing pastor with an existing call. We called him from the field, and he accepted the call here. That's one thing that we have the ability to do when we get to that point come January 1st. We could do that. One thing we actually could do immediately now, if we felt like it as a congregation, and if it was acceptable to all, and we could actually call an associate pastor with the understanding that when Pastor McMullen retired on December 31st, that they would become the senior pastor at the congregation. That is something that we could do immediately if we wanted to, and if God was leading to that, and God led a man to here, that's something we don't have to wait on district or synod for anything like that. But to call just a single pastor in the senior capacity, that you have to wait for. The other thing we have options to do as well is, and Pastor Simpson said he would help us as far as the dates on this, we could call a candidate from the seminary, and there are timelines on that, on when we would have to get information into the synod and get our name on the list for a potential candidate from SEM. And Pastor Simpson is going to help us with this process, and so he'll help guide us through some of that stuff as well. So that is a possibility. There's no guarantee that we would get one, but that is an avenue that we could explore. The other avenue, again with seminary, that we could explore would be calling a vicar who would then be convertible after their vicarage here. Now, some of you might wonder, well, wait a minute, how vicars are supposed to have supervisors? That would be handled by the district at the district level. Their supervisor would be in the district. It would not be Pastor McMullen. It would be someone who is not in this congregation, but that would be their mentor and their supervisor. And then what we could do with that would be call them as a vicar. They would be here for their vicarage, and then when they graduate from seminary, then we would convert them to our pastor here. So those are our options as they stand right now. And we're looking at going forward. Are there any questions? I'm sure there are. Did I explain it that well? Mark?
Is it a synod rule that we wait till the 1st of January?
As far as what?
Calling.
So if we are to call a pastor, yes, we have to wait until we are officially vacant. If we do it for someone from the field, and also for the seminary candidates. Of course, seminary candidates aren't going to come out, and vicar candidates won't come out till a year from now anyway. But there are timelines where has a quicker timeline. as far as when we get things in the process, but we cannot call from the field until January 1st unless we call an associate. That's the one thing we could do now.
I understand there's a process also if we call for a vicar, that his vicarage could be moved to his 4th year, where he doesn't go back to the SIM,
Yes,
and he can be appointed as our senior pastor when he graduates.
correct. And that was the last situation I was talking about, where we would call a vicar, their vicarage would be here, and then we would convert them when their vicarage is over. Yes, that's, yeah. All right. Did you have a question, Scott? Wait. Chris, let me bring it up here. The people on the stream need to hear.
Does who we get have to be officially ordained?
Yes.
Okay.
So if, hello, it's on. So if we were to call a vicar right now, you said it would take a year before we could get one?
Right, because vicarages don't start till next summer.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we would just be vacant from January 1 to then,
correct.
and just have guest pastors, and then the vicar would come for a year, and then we could instate him at that time.
Yep.
If we wanted,
Yes,
and if he wanted,
yes,
as our pastor.
yep,
Okay,
yep.
thank you.
Ruthie. Should probably turn the handheld up, but
I'm not sure about, can you hear me?
yep.
I understand about between the vicarage year and the vicar's time back at the seminary. We wouldn't have a pastor.
So no, if we were to call a vicar, they would flip in their
Another vicar would come.
no, their last year of seminary would be their vicarage. Normally it's their 3rd year, and they would change it to where it would be their 4th year.
Okay,
Because there are some that are in that situation.
Okay,
So then we would convert, their 4th year would be their last year of seminary, it would be their vicarage, they wouldn't go back, they would then stay here
Okay,
potentially.
that explains.
But how would you do that? If you've got somebody that's programmed, they're gonna go to bigger and then another year of school.
There are some out there who are, yeah, that there's, yeah, it's,
One of those students
right,
is actually a year ahead, so it would
yeah.
be any and every.
Yeah, it is a rare instance where you do have that, but there are some that potentially are set up that way to where it's,
And generally, those men have families, and like for me, we had to move our kids 4 times. And so sometimes, so they don't have to displace the kids,
yeah.
but also the wife. Oklahoma City Emmanuel has a big calling card for a wife that's a professional.
Yeah, as Pastor was saying, yeah, as Pastor was saying, basically, it's like a lot of the times those candidates are the ones who you don't want to move a family, move them someplace, move them back, then move them again. So yeah, it's Joyce.
So we're not required to be vacant for a year before we institute a call?
So Joyce asked if we're required to be vacant for a year. No, we are not. We are not required to have a vacancy time frame. Basically, we're vacant as long as it takes to have someone sent here. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I got. I think the next steps we need to figure out. I would encourage all of you who are interested on being on the call committee, talk to myself, talk to any of the elders, any of the members of the council, so that we can take that next step and try to get that official committee formed. I will hopefully have the self-study from Pastor Simpson here. He's supposed to send it to me It just hasn't happened yet, but we will get that disseminated to the congregation as quickly as possible, and we will move forward in this process. That's all I've got. Thank you all. Okay, there it goes.